Hit record now. All right. And welcome. I am so excited to have you all here talking about reference management with Zotero. And I do not get paid by Zotero, but maybe they should, because I think I'm going to sell you on this software by the time we're done today. It is free software. I'll tell you about a little bit of the limitations that it has as well, but it is free. And hello, Mary.
Hi, I'm very sorry. I was in another meeting.
No worries. We are just getting started now. Oh, actually, I gotta make sure that I share sound with you too. All right, here we go. I want to say a word about how I am organizing this talk. Rather than walk you through Zotero from start to finish, I'm going to start with the end, the why. Why do you want to learn to use Zotero or another reference management system? If you have a good why, that leads to motivation to wanting to learn more, which means you will get a lot more out of this presentation. So let's dig in and look at some of the reasons you might want to use Zotero. Zotero has word processing integration, which allows you to easily add citations as you type. You can organize your references in Zotero so it's easier to find them. You can share references by collaborating in a group or exporting collections of references in a bibliography format. It's easy to add references to Zotero, especially with the browser plugin and the ID wizard. You can search for your references and edit any of the metadata for a reference. You can also add notes or tags to a reference and link them to related works. Finally, signing up and downloading and installing Zotero and the related plugins is very easy. We'll begin with integration into word processing programs, because you'll probably be citing your references in papers that you type. Zotero has developed plugins for Microsoft Word, LibreOffice, and Google Docs. I've added links here for you to the help pages for each of those, as well as a link to a troubleshooting page with tips for using Zotero for your word processor. The first thing you'll need to do when you use Zotero in your word processor is to choose a citation style, like APA, MLA, Chicago, or a number of others. I'm going to show you how to do this in Microsoft Word. When you install the Zotero plugin, you will have a new Zotero tab on your ribbon. Here's what that looks like. You'll need to click this Zotero tab in Word, and then click the Document Preferences button. In the dialog box, you can scroll through to find your citation style. I'm going with APA version 7. Then click OK. Now we are ready to start inserting citations. At this point, my references are already in Zotero, but I will show you how to get them there later. I'll go back to that Zotero tab again, then click Add Edit Citation. I'll search for my reference, and then hit Enter on my keyboard to add it. Pretty simple. I'll also add multiple citations to synthesize the literature. I'll click Add Edit Citation, then start searching for my references. Joy, Belden. I have a lot of Mayer references, so I have to scroll to find the right one. It doesn't matter what order I put them in because Zotero will automatically reorder them according to APA rules. When I'm done, I hit Enter on my keyboard and that citation is entered in my document. It's here twice now because I just wanted to demonstrate that for you. Here's another helpful feature. You can have Zotero generate your reference list for you. I'll just go to the end of my document and then click the Add Edit Bibliography button on the Zotero tab. Zotero collected all of those references that I just added to my document and put them in alphabetically according to APA style. As I add more citations to my paper, the reference list will be updated automatically. Here I'll add another citation, this time to Cresswell and Poth. Now, when I go to the end of my paper and look at the references, I can see that it automatically added the Cresswell in the correct place. Now, Zotero won't do everything for you. The title of a book, like the Cresswell, is in title case, meaning each word is capitalized, but articles should use sentence case, meaning just the first word is capitalized. So we can see that the Choi and the Feldin and the Mayor all are using title case. But we're not going to fix that here. We're going to go to the source. Then we can sync our edits in Zotero to the references page in Word. I'm going to use this search box to find the Choi article and click on it. Now I just need to right-click on the title and select Sentence Case. That changed all of the capital letters to lowercase. I do need to manually fix this letter after the colon. Then I'll search for the Feldin and fix that one too. When I'm done with my edits, I can head back to my document in Word and click this refresh button. That synced up my edits, so now the Choi and Feldin are in sentence case like APA style requires. This works essentially the same way in LibreOffice and Google Docs. Here I'll show you what this looks like in Google Docs. I'll click on the Zotero menu and select Add Edit Citation. It takes a moment for the Zotero connector to sync up with the Google Docs. Now I'll search for my source like I did before and hit Enter on my keyboard to add it to the document. It does work a little slower in Google Docs. And voila, there's my citation. Adding citations and reference lists in documents is very easy with Zotero, which might be motivation enough for you to start using it. But wait, there's more. Zotero can also organize your reference library with folders, which they call collections. Instead of trying to remember which folder you saved that PDF from last year in, you can easily sort and find your sources by organizing them with folders or collections. On the left side of the screen is my library with folders and subfolders to organize my literature. There are buttons here to create new libraries or new collections. I'm going to go to my cognition subcollection in my psychology collection, right-click on it, and add a new subcollection. I'll call this one attention, and then I'll go back and look for my attention-related articles to add to it. I'll go back to my library, then search for attention. The results show references that have the word attention in any of the metadata fields. This Pruzan and Isakowitz article should go in the attention collection. To do that, I just click on it and drag it over to the attention collection. You'll usually see a little plus sign, but I can just click on the attention collection to make sure it is there. And there it is. It is also still in my library. I haven't moved it, I've just tagged it to be part of that collection. I'm going to move a few more articles there. My search was not saved when I returned to my library, so I will search for attention again. The Pruzan and Isakowitz article is still there. Now I'll scroll down to look for some other references to copy to the attention collection. I'll grab this article and drag it over. And I'll grab this article and drag it over. There was a little plus sign this time. I'll scroll down to look for more references that belong in the attention collection. I just need to click on the reference and drag it over to the collection. Remember, I'm not moving these articles. They stay in my library. I'm just tagging them with the attention keyword, which is underneath the cognition keyword, which is underneath the psychology keyword. Remember, I said that reference was not moved to the collection, but just tagged. That means that an article can be in more than one collection at the same time. Sometimes an article fits more than one topic, so this is a great way to organize references in a way that makes sense for your research. Here are all of the articles I added to my attention collection. The second one here, Distracted Students, a comparison of multiple types of distractions on learning in online lectures, could also go into my online learning collection. I've added it there, but it is still also in the attention collection. You'll see that I have several collections and subcollections on the left side of the screen. So let's talk about organizing your collections. Now let's say I want this Teaching Strategies collection to go inside my Instructional Design collection. I'll just click on it and drag it up there and let go. If I drop it in the wrong place, like I did here, that's no problem. I can just drag it to the right place. And if I change my mind and want to put it back, I just drag it up to my library to make it a top-level collection again. Now let's say I need to rename a collection or delete it altogether. My first collection up here is called attrition. There are other terms in the literature to describe virtually the same thing. I'm going to right-click on the collection and select Rename Collection. I'll add the keywords retention and persistence and click OK. If I want to delete that collection, I have two options. One is to just delete the collection and leave all of the items inside of it that are in my library. The other option is to delete the collection and all of the references inside it. That would also delete the items from my library, so be careful which one you choose here. Ready for another great feature? Zotero also offers several ways to share your references with other people. We'll start by looking at group libraries. So back in Zotero, I'm going to go up to the New Library button and click this drop down here and select New Group. Now that opens your browser window where you log into your Zotero account and then you create a new group. So this is a research project I'm working on with colleagues. So I can choose to have this group be public where anyone can see and join it instantly, or I can make it a public with closed membership, so people have to apply or be invited, or I can make it completely private and only people I invite can join. So I'm going to do that and click Create Group. And then I have some other settings to choose too. So do I want anyone on the internet to be able to read what's in there or only the group members? Do I want the group members to be able to edit the library or only group admins? And how do I want file editing to be handled? So I'm going to leave these settings and click Save Settings. And now I'm going to go up to Members Settings. And right now I'm the only member, so I'm going to send more invitations. And I will invite my colleagues on the project and click invite members. And now they have been emailed invitations to join this group. And when I go back to Zotero, I will see at the bottom of my list here my group libraries. And if it doesn't show up right away, there is a refresh button up here in the top corner where I can refresh and see new changes. So anything that I put into this library can be seen by everyone in my group. So, for example, if I take this book here and drag this over, now that book is still in my personal library, but in my group library, it's here for my partners on my research project to also see as well. So that's one easy way of sharing references with other people. An even easier way to share just a list of references with someone else is to export your collection or create a bibliography. Now, if the people you are sharing your collection with have their own resource manager, then you'll want to export. So I will just right click on my collection or subcollection and I'll choose Export Collection. This brings up a dialog box where I can choose the format. So if I know that someone's using BibTeX or if they're using EndNote or Zotero, I could choose which format I want this in, or I can just choose RIS, which is a fairly compatible format. And then I choose what do I want to export with it. So I'll export my notes, and I'll also export the files so they get the PDFs too. And then I'll click OK, and then I'll choose a name and a location and click Save. And now I'm ready to email that exported file or upload it another way, any other way that people can, I can send that file to other people. If I don't want to send something in that format, or if I know that the people that are looking at it don't have a reference management software, then I can create a bibliography. So I'm going to right click and choose Create Bibliography from Collection. And again, I choose my style and choose whether I want citations or the bibliography and what output method do I want to use. I'm just going to copy it to the clipboard and click OK. And then I'll go to Microsoft Word and I'll paste. And there is the bibliography for all of those items that I moved into that attention folder. So I could share this, print it, post it, and give people access to those same references. Now, how do you get all of those references into the Zotero library in the first place? Well, it's actually really simple with the browser plugin and the ID wizard, although you can do it manually, and I'll show you how to do that too. First, let's look at using the browser plugin to get references. So I've just done a Google Scholar search for attention online learning, and there are a number of sources here. And I have a button on my toolbar that is the Zotero add-on. And Zotero now has access to this site, and it's in a folder icon right now, which means that there are multiple choices of what I could add to my library right now. So I'm going to click on that, and it brings up a box of all of the items on this page that I could add to my library. So I could just click off the ones that I want and then hit OK, and that adds multiple items to my library at the same time. I'm going to click on an article here because first I want to see if I actually want to save that article or not. And I can take a look, a quick overview of the article. And then when I'm ready, I can go up here to my Zotero button again. And notice this time the icon is changed to a single sheet of paper. That means that there is just one item that can be downloaded off of this site. If I go to the download PDF and I open it in PDF view, then this icon might change to a PDF icon, and it works the same way. I just click on it and it saves it to whichever library collection I had active last. So if I didn't want it to go into attention, I could just put it generally in my library if I wanted to. And I'll go back to Zotero, and here it is, that Rose article, and it's in my library. And um, it did not go in here because I changed the location of where it was going to go. So using the browser plugin is a really simple way to add a reference that you find online to your library. And this reference button can be used to capture any type of content, including videos, websites, news articles, or peer-reviewed journal articles. Sometimes you can't find the reference online, or you just want to quickly add it to Zotero without doing a web search. If you have a document identifier like an ISBN or DOI, you can use that to import the reference. So I have a syllabus here with the required textbook, and it has the ISBN number. So I can go ahead and highlight this number and copy it, go to Zotero, click on this button, which is Add Items by Identifier, and paste in that ISBN number and hit Enter. Then Zotero goes out to the web and finds all of the metadata about that item and pulls it in here for me. I can also manually add references to Zotero if I have the information. Here I have another syllabus with information about a resource. So I can copy some of this information. So for example, I'll copy the title and I'll go to Zotero and I'll use this new item button, this green plus sign, to go ahead and add that item manually. So I know it's a journal article, but it does have lots of other types of entries so that it can collect the correct data so that you can correctly cite it using whatever style, citation style you choose. So I'll choose journal article and I'll paste in the title here and delete that line break. And it's already in sentence case, so I don't need to change that. And then I will go here and copy and paste the authors' names. And just use this plus sign to add another row for another author. And it is in Journal of Student Affairs Research and Practice. So I'll put that in the publication field. And it is volume 51, issue 3. It's on pages 298 to 310. And the date was 2014. So now this information here is entered as a reference that I can use. If I have a PDF of this article, I can attach it here as well. So I will go ahead and right-click on the item here and then click Add Attachment. And either I can attach a link to a resource online, I can attach a stored copy of the file, which means that I have that file on my computer, or I can just link out to a file. You've seen me quickly search for items using keywords, but there are so many other search tools available in Zotero. Let's take a look at them. So you've seen me type into this search box at the top just a keyword and see all of the results that it comes up with. If I click this little drop down here, I can see that it's searching all fields and tags. If I wanted to limit that search, I could search for just the title, creator, and year, and that brings me back fewer results. I could search everything, so it will also search notes, or within any other fields that it can find this keyword. So I'm going to go back here to title creator, and now I've got a smaller list of articles. And there are a couple of other helpful search tools here too. So next to the search box, there is a locate menu. So I'll click on that, and I can actually go online and see this article. If I don't have the PDF attached, which I do, it shows me view PDF, or I could view it online. I could look up in WorldCat. I could use Crossref lookup, or I'll click on this Google Scholar search. It searches Google Scholar and finds that article for me, so I could just click on it there and read it online if I have access to it. So even if you don't have the PDF that goes with an item, you can use this lookup button to find that article online. Now there is also an advanced search tool in Zotero. So this little icon here is to bring up the advanced search box, and you can search within your library, you can search within your group libraries, and you can use Boolean, any, all, which is or, and you would search within whichever field you wanted to search in, and you can add additional requirements of your search as well. Search within just sub-collections or only top-level items, and whether you want to include parent and child items of any matching items. So it's a pretty robust search tool in here. So if you can't find something, try using the advanced search and you will likely be able to find it. Once you have references in your library, you might want to make changes to them. Now you've seen me edit items, but I'll go ahead and show you again what you can do with that. So to edit an item, you would click on the item itself in your list, in your library, and you'll see 4 tabs down at the bottom: Info, Notes, Tags, and Related. And I'll get to those in a moment. So under the Info tag, you have all of these fields here, and if you need to edit any of the fields, you just need to click in them and start typing. So sometimes when you bring in an item using either the online plugin in your browser or by using the wizard, sometimes it pulls in information incorrectly or in the wrong field, and all you have to do is just click in one of those boxes and edit it. You don't need to save anything. As soon as you click out of a box, it is saved. I may have sold you on Zotero already as a tool for adding citations and organizing your resources, but wait, there's more. It's not enough to just store your references. You also want a way to remember what each article is about and what you found useful in it. So let me show you how to add this to a reference in Zotero. Now I mentioned these other tabs here before: Notes, Tags, and Related. So let me show you what those do. So I'm going to click on Notes here, and I have an article that I read about Chinese and English mathematics language, the relation between linguistic clarity and mathematics performance. And I can go ahead and add a note here. And what I'm going to do is write myself a little summary. And it's a good idea to get into the habit of writing yourself a short note or a couple of paragraphs about what the article was and how it might relate to your research or some other kinds of reflections on the article. And again, you don't need to save anything. Everything saves automatically. And this notes window is a rich text editor. So you can see that I did some formatting here. You can also add links, and you can, if you need to, edit it in a separate window if you want to work on this while you've got something else open. So then you can see that underneath this item, I have this summary attached. and I also have the PDF attached. And you can see over here on the side, I've got this notes column here. I can see that I've got one note attached to this one. The one above, I've got two notes attached to it. So the other tabs, besides the notes, which are very helpful, you can also tag this. So if you have some keywords, so maybe I'll use mathematics as a keyword. I might also use linguistics as another keyword. I can use the author as a keyword, and this just lets me help find this article again a little bit easier next time. And what I can also do on this related tab is I can add another article that is similar or related in some way. So maybe I want to find, I have another one, symbolic arithmetic knowledge. So basically I have my whole library here and I can just search for it. And I'm going to connect that one. So now when I go back and I want to use this article in a paper, I can also see, oh, I probably want to use this article as well because it's got something similar or related to it. So this is super helpful, not just having the article, but you can also add yourself some notes about the article. You can tag it with keywords that make sense to you, and then you can also connect other articles to this one, all within Zotero. Now let me show you some other cool ways that you can use these notes. So I was reading this article about Chinese and English language, mathematics language, because I wanted to know about how language affected cognition. So there is differences in the language between Chinese and English about how numbers work in their systems, and that changes how we think about numbers depending on which language that you learned. So I would like to then, at some point, I remember I'm back in my library and I know I took that note someplace, but I can't seem to remember where to find it. So I'm going to go to this advanced search and I'm going to search in my notes. And I know it was something about like a social construct, or maybe it was a cultural construct, and I'm going to do any so it finds either of those, and then I'll search, and there it is. There's my summary, and it takes me right back here. So the other nice thing is when I have this search open, I don't have to go looking for this again. I can save this search. I'm going to go ahead and save this and give it a title, social cultural construct, and hit OK here. And that actually ends up in my library here as a saved search. Underneath my collections, I have this saved search. So if I come back to this later and I remember, oh, I wanted to have that article or those articles that talked about a language as a social construct or a cultural construct, I can come back to this search and here are my search results. So those notes can be super helpful with actually making use of your references. Have I convinced you yet? You might decide to start using Zotero yourself, or maybe just explore it a bit. So let me show you how to sign up and get the tools. I'll begin by going to zotero.org in my browser, and then click on Login. And it's remembered my login, but you'll go to Register for a free account, and you will create a username, which will be zotero.org/your username, and enter your email address, make up a password, and register, and that's it. So I'll go back home here, and here's the big red download button, and I'll click on that to get Zotero 5.0 for Windows. It is also available for Mac OS, and I will just download and install it. There is also here a link to install the Zotero connector. That's the browser plugin that I mentioned. And if you don't use Chrome, they do have Zotero connector for Firefox, Safari, and Edge. Now, the word processor add-ons come bundled with Zotero. So if I go to Tools and Add-ons here, I'll see that I already have the LibreOffice and Word integrations. But you can also add additional add-ons. So I'm just going to go back to the download page here. And if I scroll down to the bottom, I can browse the plugins that are available. And there are a number of Zotero plugins. That's one of the great things about it being an open source software, is that developers can work on their own plugins or add-ons based on whatever it is they want it to be able to do. So, for example, I use Zotfile, which you'll see here is a add-on that I have added to help manage my PDF attachments on here. So, for example, if I have an article here, and instead of taking notes here, let's say I wanted to go to the PDF and I want to take my notes on here. So I highlight, I annotate things into the comments here. And I want to bring all of that here into Zotero rather than going and finding all of those notes in my PDF attachments. I can right click on it, I can go to Manage Attachments, and I can extract those annotations. So it does take a bit to gather all of those. It does also have an iPad connector too, or Android tablet. So if you decide that you want to read your PDFs on your device and take your notes there with like a a smart pencil, then you can take your notes and then have it sync up with Zotero. So here you can see it pulled in all of those annotations and highlights that I did. So those are now all saved here with the reference here in Zotero. So Zotero has several other features that are really helpful too. So for example, if I am looking at cognition and I want to find the most recent articles, I can sort by year, but I could also use this timeline tool, which will show me which articles have been published when. So these are the most recent articles I have in my cognition collection. And let's say I want to find something about goals. Well, that can highlight this word goal for me, and I can see over here in the blue achievement goals. So it will only highlight things that are in the title. So I can't like look by author this way, but I can use these highlights to find things within my timeline and find more recent articles about a particular topic. So why use Zotero? Well, I've shown you that Zotero has easy word processing integration to allow you to easily add citations while you type. I've also shown you that you can organize your references with Zotero. You can share those references either with a group, or you can export references, or you can create a bibliography. You can also easily add new references either by using the Zotero connector add-on to your browser, or by using the wizard, or by manually adding references. I've shown you that references are searchable in several different ways. They can be edited pretty easily, and you can also make good use of your references by adding notes, tags, or linking them to other relevant references. And finally, it is easy to sign up, download, and install Zotero and the plugins. So I'll stop there, and any questions that you have. I didn't go over everything that Zotero has, but I wanted to give you highlights of what I like about Zotero. So What kinds of questions do you have?
This
Yeah,
isn't
Adrian.
yeah, not actually a question. I've been using Zotero for a long time, but I knew there were features that I hadn't yet explored. So you've shown me that I was doing some things the hard way.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of time-saving moves that are there. But I also wanted to add that the plugin works with Amazon. So if there
Oh,
are sources in Amazon, you can add those to the library just as easily.
great.
I didn't realize that. And I'm sorry, I think Amy had her hand up. Okay, sorry. So the Zote file plugin, I tried that and I struggled with the integration. This was, 5 years ago or more. Has that improved? You're muted, Anne.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question?
Oh, the Zote file. I think I have the language right. Plugin where you annotate on your iPad,
Yep.
and then you can get it to come back in. The
Yeah.
integration. I was having some troubles with that, and so I basically quit using it. And I read on some of the boards that it wasn't just me that there was some trouble.
Yeah.
Has it gotten smoothed out?
I'm not sure because I don't annotate my articles on an iPad. I just do it right on my computer in Adobe. So it's worked great there. I can, like, if I do my annotations there, I can pull them into Zotero as a note.
Okay. I'll go back to
So
that.
maybe save a step there, but yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. I haven't tried it on an iPad yet.
So I downloaded Zotero a while ago, one of the other times you were recommending it, and I tried to learn it myself, which was an epic failure. So thank you, because I get it so much more now. But as you know, I'm like halfway through my classes. So I have a huge collection of printed paper articles. And it just seems so overwhelming because I thought, well, I thought I had to hand input all that information. So is my best bet just to go and try to find the DOIs and go backwards that way?
That's what I usually end up doing when I have a reference that I want to bring in. Is if there's a DOI on it, I'll use that. That's the easiest thing. Crossref also has a DOI lookup tool. So if it doesn't say what the DOI is on the article, you can use Crossref to look it up and find it. Not every item has a DOI on it though. So you can just do a Google Scholar search for your article. And even if it just has the citation, it doesn't have a link to anything, you can still pull in that citation.
Thank you. This was awesome.
So
Good.
Crossref is a website?
Crossref, yes, crossref.org. And it's not easy to get to the DOI search. I think I end up just Googling Crossref DOI search or something like that. Other questions?
This was really valuable. I'm also someone who's used it for years, and but I knew that I was not even beginning to tap what I could do. So this is going to help me go to the next level. Thank you very much.
Good. Yeah, and I've been using it for a while, but there are still things that I don't know about it. So yeah, and I will say that there is a file size limit on the free version for storing your files in the cloud. So when I showed you that you can link attachments to it, I'll keep my actual PDFs in my personal storage and then just link them. And that way it doesn't take up my cloud storage space, because it's like 100 megabytes or something like that of cloud storage space that's for free. Otherwise, if you want to be able to sync your PDFs and stuff in the cloud and get them from any device, you do have to pay for upgraded storage. But
I
I
pay
like
for
to
the
keep it
additional
free.
store.
Go for it.
I
Yeah,
pay. Sorry, I pay for the additional storage. It's about $20 a year, and it's worth it for me to not have to have multiple places to store things.
yes. Yep.
Me too. Do you have any comments about EndNote versus Zotero? My school, UGA, primarily supports EndNote. You know, that in the library, they used to be do more with supporting Zotero. They still do a little bit, but they've drawn back on that. Do you know, is there a reason why EndNote might be preferable? I mean, I've used Zotero because I was poor and it was free, you know, years ago.
Yeah, so I haven't used EndNote, so I can't speak to that. I have used Mendeley,
Mhm.
and I really did like Mendeley. But once I saw some of the features that Zotero has, particularly that browser plugin where you can grab stuff and pull it in, and it and that the annotations and notes were searchable, that is what convinced me to use Zotero for good. The good news is that you can export your Mendeley library or your EndNote library and import it into Zotero.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I have another meeting that I've got to pop off to, but really appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you, Anne. This was awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you very much.
I'm
Thank you.
glad this was helpful. All right, go enjoy Zotero.
That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Yep. Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, Anne.